Welcome to episode 30 of the Putting Couch. I'm Jim Grunberg along with Cody Hale and Ted Galena. We are the SeeMore Putters Tour team, and we have been really delighted to be able to do 30 Putting Couch episodes right now. And we cover all kinds of things on the Putting Couch, the fundamentals of putting instruction and putter fitting. We cover the mental game. We cover really human interest stories in the industry that kind of relate back to putting and all things putting. And today, we've got Bernie Garsen as our guest, and he is the founder of Garsen Golf, garsengolf.com, and he created one of the really cool putter grips that's kind of taken the world by storm over the last couple of years, and I know it's been a lot more than a couple of year adventure for you, Bernie. So first of all, thank you for joining us on the Putting Couch.
No, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you guys. I see you out on tour enough, but now it's just to sit back and talk like this. It's really fun and exciting.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
And Cody and I and Ted, we've all been out on tour, and we know that, you with your blue slacks or your red slacks has been one of the things I can count on every single week I'm out there. And it's a lot of fun to watch you work out there because, you're sort of, as a grip company, you're very independent. So you can have players from all different types of brands, no matter what their paid contracts are, still gravitate towards trying to find something a little extra with that grip. So tell us about the inspiration, Bernie, for you starting the Garsen grip. What was the problem out there that you felt needed to be solved?
Well, it all goes back to when I first started playing golf, Jim. As a kid, I just was really never comfortable with the setup position with a standard putter grip, with the thumb straight down the top. I always putted with my fingers towards the side of the putter. But for most people, once I got involved in the teaching, that wasn't comfortable because there really wasn't a spot to rest your fingers, rest your thumbs. It was still off to the side, but you're resting on the ridge. So people would say, I understand what you're going for, but it's not comfortable. So in essence, what I'm talking about, the comfort, what that does by putting your hands to the side, it basically gets your elbows into your body, as you know as well as I do, as long as we've been together and seen each other, and also sets your shoulders back, takes the tension out of your body, and just creates a more natural, easy-flowing putter stroke, which is more consistent. So I went home one night thinking about what I can do to solve this problem. So I got 3 grips and cut them all apart and glued one grip together with shoe glue. So the funny thing was, I went to the golf course the next day and I went to put solvent in the grip and it just fell apart because the solvent just ate up all the glue. So here I am taping the grip to the shaft and everything else. I kind of came up with the concept and got some feedback from some people that I was teaching. And then within a month, I was on a plane, got myself over to China. I went through about probably 5-6 different factories to start with the process. And the funny thing was through all those factories, 3 of them, I got back the exact same grip. So they were basically farming it out to one company who was doing it. So then in essence, after I finally got the grip done, this probably took a process, again, of about another 2 years.
How long ago was this?
This was probably 10 years ago when it first started.
Okay.
Yeah, because the whole process for that took the process of going through the 5 factories. It lasted finally about a year and a half to finally get a finished product. After that, the approval for the USGA took another 2 years, because that I had to do 5 different submissions for them just to approve the one model of the first grip, the edge grip. So that went back to retooling and the expenses, going back to China, because as much as you try to do things on Skype, back in those days, and the language barrier, it was still very difficult. As much as you thought they understood, they never did. So the bottom line was having to go there and actually do a prototype myself. Like, I'd get different grips and grind them out on a grinder, or take their prototype they did to me and sand it down and go back to them and explain them what I needed done. So that was another process. But I learned a lot about the grip market, a lot about what the USGA is looking for as far as what's conforming, what's not. And just, it's been a great process. I've learned a lot. And the bottom line was, I believed in this so much that I never gave up, because through all the testing that I've done and all the data I have, I know my technology works. And the cool thing about our technology together is we have 2 technologies that really work really well together. And that's the cool thing about being involved with you guys now, doing a custom grip for SeeMore with your rifle scope technology and the Garsen technology. It's 2 great products together which by far is, more superior to a lot of products out there on the market.
And that's a great point. And the similarities between our two brands is that customers, they rave about our products, and they talk about how immediately they feel like they've become better putters because of our technology, because of your technology. You put those together, it's twice as powerful. And it's, because golfers are looking for every possible way to simplify variables and reduce variables, so that they can focus on the line and the speed of the putt, as we always say. And the two products have, they're different products, but they both tell the same story, which is that, take a look at this technology. There's a way out there for you to simplify your game, even though you're not a tour player, you're an avid golfer, you play a lot, you practice a lot. But when they finally do get it, it's sort of an aha moment. And I think that's the same thing, with the Garsen grips. And from what I've seen, it's not easy. It takes a long time. You have to build relationships out there. People have to realize that you're committed. And as you said, you've got the passion, you've got something, and all of a sudden it starts to roll. And then you start to get, caddies and players coming to you, and a little bit tougher for us because we're up against so many players that are on big time contracts and getting paid for the putter. But I think when it comes to the grip, you do have an option to find somebody that week that, hey, why wouldn't I try this? So tell us about your experiences on tour and some of the really cool stories from out there.
Well, it's really funny because basically, like you're saying, with, the whole relationship out on tour, there's a lot more just relationships now. You got to deal with not just the player. A lot of it's involved with their coaching. A lot of it's their caddy. A lot of it's their agent. So even though I'm just a grip company, you do have to build a relationship, but it's still really difficult. And I tell anybody between you and I, if you're thinking about getting in the putter world and trying to get out on tour, good luck.
Yeah.
Because as well as I do, every year it's getting tougher and tougher because these guys are getting more and more on contracts to the point where they got to use all 14 clubs because all companies now are coming out with their own putter line. But, in the last year or two, I've kind of seen now, like some of the guys, like Tony Finau being one of the first players ever who was one with my grip, as a matter of fact, as well, and still in the grip that I do custom for Peretti, as well as I could, do custom grips for you guys. A guy that actually believes in a product and has enough say-so to say, listen, I'm not going to change because this is proven that it works for me. And, with your technology in mind, the big difference is we can prove it. The data doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. And that's the thing about technology, is what I'm talking about, having one of the only technology-based grips out on the market. I mean, just because it's a fatter grip doesn't mean there's technology built into the grip. Superstroke has done a great job, but I've tested all my grips against every one of the Superstrokes products. It's just they've got such a big footprint in the market right now, and the money for the marketing. I'm a one-man band.
Yeah,
I've done all this on my own. I've started a company. I no investor. I had an investor I bought out for the first 3 months because we didn't see eye to eye. And for the last 5 years, I've been supporting my own self out on tour. Like you're saying, seeing me out on tour, it's great for me to be there because I can get feedback from players out there. And I started this company with one grip. I now have 7 different designs, and every one of my designs is won on the PGA Tour, worldwide or somewhere on the PGA Tour level. I have multiple players on the web.com or the Corn Ferry Tour, the Mackenzie Tour, the Asian Tour, the Latin Tour. Hendrick Stenson won the British Open with the Max grip. So, I feel pretty proud to be able to pat myself on the back to say, I've done pretty well with it so far. But I haven't stopped because I do like the fact of having the opportunity to talk to players and get input and think, well, what else can I do? Because my ultimate goal is to be the number one putter grip company in the world. And, for the fact that I have 32 wins worldwide in the last 5 years, I know it took Superstroke, I think it was 6 years, so they got their first win. So, I feel pretty good about that. I feel better about now a lot of companies like yourself are coming on board and wanting to get involved with the technology and understanding and seeing that it helps. It's just the bottom line is it's not an easy market.
Yeah.
Not easy at all. You know as well as I do. And for you guys, like you say, being a putter company, you're up against the big major brands and guys are in contract. So you've got to get that one guy who's not in a company contract under putter. And you have very limited shots at it. Like you say, I have more opportunity because guys will still, maybe, I'm not putting that well. Maybe it's not the putter. Maybe it's not me, but let me go check out a grip. Yeah. And as well as I do, you amongst other companies give me putters to put on my bag. And it's helped me out tremendously because that has helped me also get putters in play for other companies. And these companies see that, well, he's helped us get his putters in play. Like there's never hesitation when I tell a company, hey, listen, I need a couple putters for my bag because so-and-so wants a putter built up. They're more than happy to do that. And I think that's kind of how our relationship started. When you guys first came out there with Cody and you guys out there, it would start seeing that guys were, are interested in your putter and they say, well, let's put a Garsen grip on it. And, we've been talking about this for years now to finally be involved together. I think it's a great fit and I'm very happy about it. Right now, because we were just talking about this earlier about being out on tour with the new normal, as they're calling it. It's really tough right now because, we're not allowed to set anything up, period, for the next four or five events. Hopefully it only sticks to that. I was just on the Corn Ferry Tour this week, which is a little bit more relaxed than the PGA Tour. So it gave me a little bit more of an opportunity to actually be able to get out there and actually work with the guys because I was able to get on the putting green or close enough to it to where on the PGA Tour, everything's roped off where you can't even get in certain areas. They're checking our temperatures. We walk in there. Now, I heard this week up at Travelers are going to, test everybody that walks into the event because the outbreak up in Connecticut is so bad still that it's, they don't want any they're taking all the precautions to keep everybody safe. And if you ask me, I think they should test everybody on the premises, because the bottom line is it doesn't matter if the players are being secluded. You're going to have some sort of contact with them one way or another. And it has happened. So I just think they should make it a big, safe bubble altogether.
That's Cody's here, and I'll let Cody jump in because I know right. Cody has spent a lot of time. I mean, he was a tour player himself. He spent a lot of time out on the tours, just like you, Bernie. And I think right. The one thing that we've shared with you is that, a lot of these brands out there, the players gravitate towards them because who's going to pay them a couple $100,000 for the year? And then, these companies are like, yeah, hey, we've got a putter now. You got to use all that. So when we do it, it's sort of one at a time. Cody's finding a player out there who is basically saying, I understand that I may be giving up a contract in some way or some part of a contract, but I am really intrigued by your product, the SeeMore putter, and how it can help me with consistency and alignment. And that's the way Zach Johnson got into it and Payne Stewart got into it. And, so many other players that have won with SeeMore putters, but the field has been very small. And we see you with the same type of challenge. You have to go up there and find somebody who hasn't been influenced by marketing because they're not seeing SeeMore and they're not seeing Garsen TV ads out there. And so they really have to look and say, hey, let's look at this product, how it can help me. And that's what you're doing every day. That's what Cody's doing every day. And I'll let Cody talk about, he was the guy that was coming back after all these weeks and saying, hey, Bernie Garsen's got something going out there. It's a very legitimate, very meaningful product, and it's got a point of differentiation that just like we're always looking for with our putter. And so, Cody was very instrumental, I think, in identifying early on that all that work you put in, all that research, all those different various trials and redos had led to something really, really cool. So, I mean, from there, I'll let Cody jump in on that. But yeah, it's very similar shared stories.
Yeah, it is. And we all know how tough it is on the tour. But Bernie and I met probably, I don't know, it was probably 6 years ago. I think it was at the web.com tour finals, maybe at TPC Sawgrass.
In Sawgrass, exactly right. Yeah, the first time we met.
Mm-hmm. But it was one of, I think for our listeners, it was when you developed the Edge, which, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, for them to get a visual, it's basically like a rib grip turned upside down, right? I mean, essentially, it's just you've got a rib version where you can get your hands on each side of the grip to set your elbows more in to get them neutralized, so the symmetry of your shoulders, your forearms are more neutral in a neutral, tension-free setup position, square to the target line, and you can get your hands on each side of that top line running down the top of the grip, right? So how would you describe that first grip that you designed?
Right. That's basically when we first met, that was the Edge grip. Like you're saying, it's kind of like a triangle, half a triangle with a round back, exactly where you get your thumbs on each side at a 45-degree angle instead of straight down the top. And you're exactly correct. What that is doing is just taking your body and putting your elbows into your body, getting your palms in a more neutral position, and setting your shoulders back and creating a more natural pendulum stroke. That is what we're all out here to try to obtain in a putting stroke? Is it a consistent pendulum stroke? But if you set your body up in a normal position, in order to create that pendulum motion, you're putting tension in your body. Your body's not in a relaxed position. So what that does is manipulates movement in your hands, which in essence, that manipulation is caused by tension. So basically, my grip is creating a more tension-free grip. And the funny thing is, when I first got out on tour with the edge grip, I mean, after all the marketing and all the research I did, I come out on tour. Then that was right after when Superstroke had the win with Jason Duffner in the U.S. in the PGA Championship. Then it just went nuts with the bigger grips. So then now I'm just out on tours. Then I had to come up with the concept of the bigger grip, which was the Max. So that was my second involvement in a putter grip. And the funniest thing about that was one of the first people to put the fatter Max grip in play was Henrik Stenson. And the way that grip got in play was, the funny story here was, Pete Cowan used to take my edge grip and use it on wedges as a training aid. So in order to keep the guys know where their hand position was from flipping over, they would use the edge grip on a wedge. So Pete Cowan was training with Henrik Stenson for that on his wedges. And I asked him, well, would you do me a favor and put a putter grip on for me? He's like, I'll try, but I'm not going to guarantee you anything. See, this is what we're talking about, building relationships. You never know how something gets into somebody's hands. So you got to try and build a relationship with anybody and everybody you talk to, because out there is such a cutthroat world. If you rub somebody the wrong way once, it's done. You never have a second chance. You know that as well as I do. You get your opportunity. If you come off somebody the wrong way, you'll never have an opportunity again. So it was really funny how then Henrik just showed up one week with the grip on his putter. Now, the funniest thing was, I think it took Henrik a year before he finally changed the grip on his putter. And I talked to Pete about it, and him and Pete Cowan and his new instructor, his name, it passes me right now. Excuse me. No problem. Anyway, but basically, Henrik is one of these guys that goes by the numbers. He most of his product testing, they go by the numbers and the data. And talking to Pete Cowan afterwards, Henrik was in the grip for a year, got out of it for 3 weeks, and basically Henrik got back into the grip because the data doesn't lie. And for instance, JB Holmes was one of the first guys to win with the grip. The funny story was when JB Holmes was on his medical status on tour. It was down at TPC Sawgrass down at Arizona, and he came up to my bag and he grabbed a putter with the edge grip on it. He looked at me. He says, "What the hell is this thing on crooked, sideways, or what? What is this?" and he threw it back at me, and I started laughing. I said, "JB, let me ask you a question." I said, "If you weren't having problems with your putting, would you be here asking me these questions?" He kind of laughed. He says, "Well, you got me there." I said, "Well, do me a favor, putt with it for 10 minutes and tell me what you think." So the funniest thing was, I had a Tadmore Olimar putter. The putter, I think, they were $89 in your local sporting goods shop, whatever. So he putted for about 10 minutes. I said, "What do you think?" He says, "Well, it still feels a little weird, but it's different." I said, "Well, do me a favor." At the time, they were out there checking stats on the putting green. So I told his caddy, I said, "Go over and have JB check his stats and tell me what you think." So he comes back over and he looks at me and he says, "Well," he goes, "his stats have never been that well." So he basically put the putter in that play and playing that week. And, JB had 2-3 wins in the first 2 years with the edge grip. And then bottom line is, it's some of these decisions aren't up to the player. I don't even want to get into that.
Yeah.
But, pretty much almost every player that has put my grip in play and kept it in play has won with it.
Yeah.
And it's just the funny thing about it, like with you guys, with your brand, with what you're doing out there, because you're not like an Odyssey or TaylorMade. People don't realize what we see out there. These companies have new products every week.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking one product. I'm talking 4, 5, 6 different new putters on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what's just phenomenal about you guys, that you now just this year came out with your new models, correct? With the new necks on them. And
new necks, yep.
Right.
Yep.
And this has been how long now that your
Yeah,
technology has been so good that you didn't have to change it, but now you know as well as I do, everybody wants something different. Something different for somebody else's eye. Not everybody
Yeah.
likes the same thing.
Yeah.
So I know you guys have made it so far with your technology, with what you have done up to this point, to where now you're giving people more benefits and more opportunities and chances to get into something different. I just see your brand exploding and going to getting a lot more, recognized out there, and a lot more, because it's more of what the people want and understand and what they're used to.
Well, I think that's, transitioning to where, your technology and ours, you're talking about improving setup, improving stroke, being tension free. And I think that's why, you've seen success on tour. These guys, even though they may see it different off the start, they put it in play as a, maybe a training aid off the get-go, or they put it, they may be hesitant off the start, and then they start seeing the benefits of it after a few minutes, after a few weeks, after a few months. And then that's why it sticks for a long term. Like, I mean, look at the success Henrik Stenson had, and why has he putted with it for so long? Well, he's had, so much success with it over the years. Abraham Answer. I mean, some of these guys, Tony Finau, I mean, those guys have had success. And that's why I think some of the guys we've had have had success with it over the years. I mean, Zach Johnson, Vaughn Taylor, those guys started with it as our putters as training aids, which was phenomenal, because we knew once they did put it in play, it wasn't just lightning in a bottle. Hey, they had some familiarity with the technology that they knew, hey, this was helping my setup, this is helping my stroke. And that's the cool thing about your grip. And I think that's why we knew, hey, there's something behind this, because, and we love the new putter grips that you have out, the new quad tours, which we'll mention, that are tapered and a non-taper version. And you talk a little bit about those, but we love those as well, because not only are they a little bit different, but being able to set your hands in the same place, being able to provide a little bit more stability. I mean, that's so important. Your hands are the only connection part to the grip, right? So being able to set your hands and, like I said, have symmetry in terms of being able to have your forearms and shoulders positioned and have leverage over the club is so important. And having your hands in the same position on the grip and your fingers in the same position on the grip, people don't realize when they grip it, one time their right hand's on top a little more, the next time it's a little more underneath. It's so important to have consistency in the way you put your fingers on the grip, and it will help you putt better, and it'll help you provide stability in the putting stroke if you do that. And I think your grips offer that type of success and that type of consistency through the technology.
Right, you're correct about that, Cody, because the bottom line, like I talk about, being able to be out there and talk to the players and things, that's how I developed the quad grip. Because basically, the quad grip is basically the same as the Max and the Edge technology, but more in a traditional style. Work with guys who tell me, I understand your technology, but I'm just not, that I'm too traditional, basically. But the bottom line is, it's all about feel. If you would give yourself the opportunity to let it work for you, you know what? That's the whole thing about the Edge and the Max grip, that when you first put your hands on it, we're all taught how to putt one way. I'm not saying my grip's going to change your life, but I will tell you one thing. If you let it work for you, you will see the difference, because the bottom line is putting your body in a better position. And like you say, Cody, what the new Max, the quad grips do is get your hands in that same position every time. It does stop you from going too far over the top, too far underneath, but it's also help you because the design, the more quad shape about it, is it's basically the same technology, but more traditional grip. So that is how I developed the quad grips, which led to more different shapes and sizes and styles about it. And now recently just coming out with the rubber feel of that quad grip, because guys, it's texture. There's so many different things that people don't understand what people are asking for out on tour, let alone what the general public doesn't know half about enough stuff that goes on out on tour, and it's like, you guys have seen it. I've seen it. It's like when a guy's looking to change into something out there, they're getting bombarded by all these other companies. It's like to a point to where a guy just wants to say, just leave me alone. So to have that opportunity to get your chance and be able to get in the guy's ear enough to talk to him for a long enough amount of time, be able to get him hit your product, try your product, hit a few putts, or with mine, try a few grips for somebody else that's breathing down their back. You've got a 1 in a million shot. And then the fact about it, if they even will get it enough time, because there's so many, like I say, once people know that somebody's looking for something new, it's insane to see what goes on out there. It's like people are just are relentless, and they really are. So it's like you're saying, you've got a 1 in a million shot, and you've got to really make them understand the whole technology and why it's going to make them better and what it's going to do for them. But then again, the bottom line too is any change. If you ask me, if anybody out there is going to make any change in anything, give it at least 4 to 6 weeks. Don't expect to put something in your hands and it's going to change your life, because any change is you've got to adapt to it. And not to say that it's going to be right or wrong, but the bottom line is give it a chance. You can't make a decision by going out and playing one round of golf and saying, "Oh, this is not right for me," because your life is not going to change in one round of golf. You know, your bottom line is you've got to let your body adapt to you. You got to let your mind adapt. You got to let the feel adapt to you. It's like nothing. There is no lightning in a bottle. I'll put it that way. Granted, I've had guys have success. Brendan Steele put my grip in play that week, went out and won Safeway, you know? So it's like, you never know. But then again, a guy can put it in play 1 week, win the next week, go out and not even make the cut. But the bottom line is guys on tour, a lot of them will realize, you know what? I'm not the best putter every week. And the general public needs to realize that too. There's not one thing out there that's going to make you a better putter, but there are things that can help you if you understand what you have in your hands. And what we're talking about here, technology, there's so many ways now to show people what technology is compared to just saying you have a good product, being able to prove it, which I know you have, because working together with you guys when I was up there with you, Cody, and all the stuff I've seen you guys do, I know your technology works. And that's why it's such a great opportunity for us to be together, collaborating on your putter, and my grips together. I just feel that it's a great relationship that we started, and I feel it's going to go a long way. And I'm honored to be on with you guys. So
I agree. I think it's got some legs from here. We're going to continue to expand, but right now golfers can find they can find the Garsen grips at SeeMore.com. They can be put custom onto any of our putters. They can see the full line of our new milled putters at the PGA Tour Superstore with the Garsen grips. In Canada at Golf Town, they can find the premium putters in our line with the Garsen grips. And again, we've started off with the Quad Tour because of the great story you just told, and we felt like with the taper, the non-taper, we're really giving golfers something that they can build on. And as you said, same thing with the Garsen and the SeeMore brands. We've both been the 1 in a million story. I mean, for our brands to both have dozens and dozens of PGA Tour wins around the world, that's a long shot, because everything in the world was working against us except that we had data and technology on our side. And that's the great thing about both of us. And, while the tour continues to be something that people will always look to, and we'll always have, the greatest putting performances, some of them in major championship history between us, right?
Exactly.
Zach Johnson at the British Open in 2005, made 10 birdies in the last round to pass 15 players, one of the great final rounds in British Open histoy. Henrik Stenson, when he won the British Open,
exactly,
one of the great all time. And then Payne Stewart last night on the Golf Channel. When it's on, it's I think the highest rated show on the Golf Channel. Every time they show the 1999 U.S. Open with Payne Stewart winning that with that SeeMore putter, and people are like, you know what? I can see how that helped him. So while the tour has been fantastic and it's shined the light on our brands, the real story is that the longer we stay established, the longer consumers get involved. And right now, consumers will be telling other consumers, golfers, about Garsen grips. They tell other golfers about SeeMore putters. And so while the tour continues to be incredibly wonderful to have, we've reached the point right now at SeeMore where we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of golfers that say they've used every type of putter in the world, many 3, 4, 5 times what they paid for our putter, but they've realized that there's nothing that beats a SeeMore putter. And as we introduce them to the Garsen grips, we're just going to help them enhance that even more. And so that's the really great thing is that it's no longer just advertising and the tour, but word of mouth. Golfers that go out there and have great experiences will tell other golfers. And so it's probably stronger now than ever to be a small company and just have your customers tell your story for you.
No, I agree with you 100% on that, Jim. I can't tell you how many emails and people are reaching out to me on Twitter, hey, I see you posting about this grip. How come it's not on your website? Because, a lot of my products that I first introduced, I introduced that on tour. So I'll send out a couple of the guys that are interested, that are decent golfers. And next thing you know, say, hey, man, my buddy wants this grip too. This is the best grip ever. And you're right. This is the consumer base is what's going to keep our companies alive. Because, out on tour, we're not making money out there. But the players aren't paying us for our products. We're spending our hard-earned dollars to be out there for 3 days, supporting ourselves on a weekly basis out there. But the bottom line is, if it wasn't for the consumers, I wouldn't be in business.
Exactly.
And
a small company, I mean, you and we're not out there writing checks. So it is cool.
No, right, yeah.
And we get tour players still to come to us and say, hey, I really appreciate everything you guys have done, because they've kind of grown up in a world where everything is sort of pay for play. But when it comes to the putter, they know it's 40% of the game. It's going to define their legacy. And so there's some guys out there that are willing to not sign contracts that include the putter. Fewer and fewer, but the ones that do, it's really cool when you can work with them and you can help them, because I think they realize, hey, this is really, I should never let a contract interfere with my best putting, because it's going to determine who I am as a professional golfer.
Well, the bottom line is, okay, what's a contract worth compared to a win? You know what I'm saying? It's
exactly.
And if you win a major, I mean, look at the recognition you get for that, and what it does for you and for my company. I mean, when Henrik Stenson won the British Open, my website crashed. My life changed overnight. I can say that, and that was probably one of the biggest thrills so far in my career, was having Henrik Stenson win that British Open. But on a weekly basis, I'm sure you're as excited as I am when you see your putter on TV. When you can say, that's my brand out there, that's something that I've created. I remember in the start of this just telling myself, I want to see one tour player using this. And when I get now a group in the final round, when you got 2 or 3 of the players using your product, it's pretty exciting. When I can say on a weekly basis, I have guys up in the top 10. I have guys, right now on the Korn Ferry Tour, I have, 3 guys in the top 5 right now. It's like, and right now, Tony Finau's the top 5 out on the PGA Tour. And, it's pretty exciting to see this. This is something that I've developed, and to think about the opportunity to be able to do that is even more exciting. Because, I mean, sure, it's great to be out on the PGA Tour, but people, don't get us wrong, it's not an easy livelihood, but it's something we do have to do to keep our brands recognized. Because everybody,
and what it eventually is going to lead to is the great feedback you're going to get when you're able to translate that to a consumer who says, hey, I've never putted this well. We get it hundreds of times every week, and it's really what keeps us going. So, well, Bernie, we're running out of time, unfortunately. I really wanted to get into your background, but you might have dodged a bullet this time. We know you're a serious golfer, and you played competitive golf and you taught, but was there anything else you ever did in your life that was somewhat interesting and maybe different than golf that our listeners would be interested in?
Well, I golfed when I was young. I raced motorcycles, and after I got to the age of 21, I was like, forget this game. I got into male modeling. I was male model for 25 years. I spent 8 years throughout Europe, Italy, Germany, France, Greece, Spain, South Africa. I did over 300 commercials throughout Europe. I moved to Miami. I'm back in Miami now, and that's where I got back involved in golf. So I've had quite an experience in my lifetime. There's been some
just modeling. I mean, was there anything else? Any dancing or anything like that? Modeling.
I love to dance, man. You should see my salsa dancing.
There we go.
Yeah, there's some hints of some dancing in my background too.
And we've had a really fun discussion today. I'm Jim again with Cody Hale, Ted Galena, and Bernie Garsen. This has been the 30th episode of the Putting Couch, and Bernie, we'll have you on again sometime. All right.
I look forward to it. Great. It's always
Thank you very much,
guys. All right.
We'll see you out on tour. Okay.
You got it. Take care.
We appreciate you joining us. If you haven't subscribed to the show, make sure you do wherever you're listening. Be sure to leave a rating and review, because that's how we get the Putting Couch podcast content in front of more people. Also, take a screenshot and share it on social media and tag us at SeeMore Putters or #Team SeeMore.